So obviously this game was a little bit of a mess. To be honest, the Lee Sin purposely lost this game, like he was soft inting. So again, like I said, in these games you don't really focus too much on the end result, because if you do that with Lee, you'll just go insane. Like before you can actually climb, you'll go insane. So what we do is we just focus on ways to improve. So like you said, we'll gloss over that first one. Now, the first big thing that I did notice in the laning phase is A, your positioning, and B, the way you kind of move throughout the lane. So one of the things that I notice most is that your clicks are slow in some areas and then they speed up. So like if we look at, say, this part here, you have the capability to click faster, but we're just not. See, so even like here where we're clicking quicker, but when it matters, we're not. Now, one of the main things that we need to start doing is kind of evaluating what they are going to want to do within the laning phase. So Jin, for example, wants to play around this full shot more than anything. And that's kind of his main playstyle. He uses 3 shots on the wave, uses his Q on the wave, whatever, and then uses the 4th shot to just run up to you, do damage, and then back away. And then he'll do it again, he'll run up, do damage, and back away. Now, one of the big things with Jin, though, is if you can actually play around this full shot, it makes it much, much harder for him to actually do anything within the laning phase, and he was playing super passive anyway. So, one of the kind of first things is kind of we're losing too much HP by going for kind of trades and stuff early that we don't need to go for. Now, at what point do you think Zyra becomes good in lane, should I say?
Level 3.
Yeah. So as soon as she
And
gets
you've
a level...
got WNE.
Yeah. So as soon as she's got all 3 abilities, she can kind of go nuts. But until then, you're kind of playing a little bit more passive, and you're playing more towards just kind of scaling that out rather than walking up and kind of taking too much poke. Because here, see, for example, we're still level 1, and we've lost 50% of our HP because we're trying to poke in situations we can't. And see here, for example, that was like one situation where you were very, very easy to kill because we kind of run at them for no real reason, right? So it's like here, what are we running into them for, right? Like we don't have any abilities. All we're gonna really get is an auto attack, which we don't even have a support item stack. So we have no reason to really walk past this wave at this point. And if they would have realized this and jumped on you, then this could have been a potential kill for them.
Yeah, I think like on the videos that I watch and stuff, they say they say that like you need to block the minion that they're gonna go for and poke them back. Because then they have to decide whether they want to trade with you or they want the gold from the minion.
Yeah, so that's good, but the problem is you can only really do that if you have pressure, right? Like in this situation, we don't actually have pressure, so we're kind of faking them out, which, you know, it can work, and it can be somewhat effective, but when we're kind of at this point, see, like it hasn't worked here, because with Zyra we need multiple abilities. Same with Brand. They play very similar. This is why I kind of recommend both. They play very similar. You just conserve HP, poke where you can, and then just wait out till level 3. Because right here, for example, we're very, very low now, and we still don't have 3 yet. So, if you're playing like tanky supports, you can sit on top of the minions a little bit more. Say, for example, if we're playing Leona, we could probably say maybe sit on one of the minions when he goes to hit it or us, and we can then engage on him, stuff like that. But when we're playing Zyra, we're just looking to poke out until they're low enough that we can all in. Now, have you ever played mid lane before?
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of these kind of concepts become a lot more evident inside of mid lane, because support is basically mid lane with no responsibilities. You know, you don't really have to farm, you don't really have to trade anywhere near as kind of routinely. But so here, this was okay. Now, one of the main things we're looking to do is just kind of help him crash this wave in. We're not really in a position that we can do that much. So you used your abilities on the wave, which is fine. We have plenty of mana. So what we want to do is we just want to focus on getting this wave pushed in. Because what happens if we root him here? So say we root him here, what's going to happen?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yumi's just gonna heal him.
Yeah, absolutely nothing. We're not going to be able to do anything in this position. So what we're looking to do is just focus on the wave to get this crashed in, and then we can actually maybe do something at a later point. But where we're looking to try and control the wave state. Now with Zyra, because you can clear waves quite comfortably, it's kind of your goal or your job to ignore the ADC and focus on controlling the wave state as much as you can. Because again, like in bot lane, well, in any lane, you can't do anything with a bad wave. So Jhin can't actually poke you back. So if we were focused on just pushing in a little bit harder, we don't actually have to use our abilities. We could just alter these minions a bit more, because if the minions are under tower, Jhin can't do anything to us. Like the Yumi's gonna poke out a little bit, but we can sit inside the minion wave. But Jhin can't really do anything. And then one of the things with your CC, don't rush it. So one of the things that I saw quite a few times is we were kind of rushing our CC. Like for example, there the E didn't land, and then the Q was never really going to get anything anyway, right?
Yeah.
So it was just kind of a waste of mana, really. So this was when the Kazakhs came up. We managed to get an E on him here. To be honest, though, even this was kind of bad because so we used E. But see how you use Q again. Now your Q is 70 mana. Now right here, all we wanted to do is just use the E to lock him down so that we could run, right? So
Yeah.
we're kind of wasting our mana a lot as well. So we have to kind of think when we're using an ability, what is the intention of this ability? So one thing that a lot of this is a common thing a lot of players struggle doing is they'll throw abilities out without really having any intention behind them. So it's like you often
I think I'm so used to playing with Electrocute to proc the extra damage. That's why
maybe
I keep
okay, that
playing
could be
Q
why.
out.
Yeah. That could be why, but even in that situation, even if we had electrocute, we still don't really want to use it on the Kazakhs, right? Because then we're not going to have it for lane.
Yeah.
So we really want to focus our resources on our lane as much as possible, because that's the only thing that really, like, in these lower elos, the only thing that you want to focus on is your laning phase. Like, because when you get out of laning phase, there's so many variables you can't consider. If you're not just hard winning lane every single time, then it's going to be really, really difficult to carry. So right here, for example, this is
That
another
flash
thing.
is terrible.
So another thing is, so what could we have done if we wanted to kind of push on him or do anything? Yeah, so the flash, the minions were already coming. So what I'm kind of hinting at is brush control. So right here, you make it very obvious where you're throwing things because we're out in the open. So what we want to do is we want to tend to throw our E more so from inside the brushes. These brushes, when you're playing someone like Zyra, are incredibly valuable, like crazy, crazy good. So
Yeah, but
yeah.
with the Jhin and the Yuumi, I just can't get into it because the Jhin will double Yuumi out or the Yuumi will Q.
So yeah, we can't. Well, I mean, you can always dodge Yumi. Like if you're sat in this brush right here and Yumi Qs, how's she gonna know where to land it, right? So it's like,
Oh.
yeah, she can throw it and try and hit you, and sometimes it might hit, but she's got a much harder time hitting you while you're in this brush than when you're like here, right? Because she can see exactly where you are there. So that was a little bit unfortunate. Now, once we start kind of snowballing lanes a little bit more, what we'd look to do is instead of an amp tome there, we'd get a dark seal.
Yeah.
Like
I
dark.
always do buy that potion thing because I know that it's darks with Dark Seal as well.
I mean the potion is nice, but yeah, dark seal is unbelievably broken. It gives you roughly 1,000 gold just for free, so it's very, very good. Especially on support where your gold income is very limited. When you're playing these kind of AP champions, it can be very good. So see here again, we're also out in the open there. So we did get hit by that, and it's okay to kind of walk up and pressure here. But when should we be looking to get the most pressure right here? In this picture, when should we be looking to do things?
When the minions are dead.
Yeah, or what does a Jhin want in this lane?
His last shot. He wants his cannon.
Yeah, Yeah. So what we do is here we just play back. We don't really walk up too much. Another thing as well, you have a little bit of a heavy thumb of just holding spacebar. Just make sure that your camera is just located over the area of interest and just leave it there, you know? Because then that way you're only moving your champion and you can like click to move. And it just means that your eyes aren't as strained by kind of the entire screen moving. So again here, so this is a perfect opportunity for us really, because all of his minions are actually focusing this cannon out. So what we want to do there is we actually want to walk into
Stand
this
in
brush.
front of it.
I mean, we can, or we can walk in this brush, and as soon as he goes in his W animation, we guarantee our E, right? Because that animation makes him stuck there for a brief amount of time. So that's a perfect opportunity that we can take some of his HP bar away in return for him capturing that cannon, you know? So, like, here, see, like, we're up in this location, but, you know, there's not really much we can do from here. And this cannon is dropping very, very low. So what we do is we identify early that the cannon is going to be his objective. And then we walk around, we get ready, and then, you know, he might back away. He probably won't, like, especially in these elos. And as we see, he did W from here. So see, this animation, it's not like 10 seconds, but it's definitely a window where your E can reach him quite easily, right?
But if Twitch had gone in front of it, would he have stopped his E?
Oh,
Or
his
W or
W,
whatever
yeah,
is.
it would have
Yeah.
hit him. It would have hit the Twitch, yeah. So this was when Kha'Zix was already kind of fed. So it's kind of hard at this point because the wave's been pretty doomed for a while. So one thing that we could have also done in this situation is we could have actually just, again, used everything on the wave to push it in earlier. So maybe at this point we could have just used everything there. So why could that have been an option, do you think?
Because
What's happening on the mini map right now?
Lee Sin is on top side.
Yeah. So we can assume that if Lee Sin's on the top side, Kha'Zix is either looking bot side to try and kind of like cross map the play, yeah, or he's either up there. But the other kind of thing is, if say Kha'Zix does come, Lee Sin's top side, so we're going to be outnumbered no matter what. So trying to maybe just sort the wave out beforehand, or even just stepping back. To be honest. It's always kind of hard because, you know, Twitch is hitting the minions. But again, this is where we could have pinged back away. And maybe would have avoided Kha'Zix killing us. So this is the Twitch just kind of griefed, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't even know why I tried to go back in and help him.
I mean, we got out though, which is good. So, okay, so this is another thing, right? Like, this is another thing when you're in these kind of situations as Zyra. When the wave is coming in like this, and we just want to claim this wave because our ADC is dead, the last place we want to be is anywhere near here. We want to be back here, just waiting for this wave to come into tower. Because as soon as it's under the tower, the Jhin can't really aggress us anywhere near as much, and I think this happens twice this game. So see how we kind of walk up, and now we're being forced to dodge things that we shouldn't have really needed to dodge. And then all of a sudden, he gets a massive amount on us, and then we have to use our flash to get away. So it's kind of one of those things where you just want to wait for the wave to come in and just farm it from safety. Just because Twitch isn't going to get it anyway, right? But Twitch did get a kill on him, which was good. And then... I can't actually remember what happened. Oh yeah, Twitch kills him here, right? Yeah.
And then he kills the Jhin as well.
Does the Jhin die here?
And then die to the Yuumi. Oh no, they back off because I get back into lane.
So here again, see, where we're kind of rushing our trade patterns a little bit. Because again, this wave is going to come into tower. So what we want to do is we want to force him to choose between the wave or us. Because of when we went there, he didn't have to make a choice and he could just poke us out instead. Also, with your E there, again, your camera was a little bit off. So it's very hard to hit because you were centered on yourself. And see, we can actually see him. Also, I'm not sure what your HUD level is at, but turn it down just all the way as well. And it'll help.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I tunnel visioned because I saw that he was in low HP, and I was like, yes.
Kill. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Get him. Get him.
And that's where the Lee Sin started failing.
Yeah, so this is actually a really, really important thing to focus on, actually. This is kind of one of those things where, because the game is hypermobile and there's more and more mobility as we go, one of the main things that you want to do as Zyra is you always want to hold your CC until then mobility has been used. Yeah, so here we kind of burnt it, but then he just instantly used W. Whereas if we waited for him to use his W, and just walk up and auto, then he'll use his W there. We can easily E him, and then Lee Sin can jump on him. We can then use our ultimate. Well, I mean, bigger than that. We can use our ultimate, and then we can actually kill him there. So this is kind of one of the things that I was saying earlier. Don't rush your combo. It's better to wait on your combo and just kind of not use it because there isn't a perfect time to use. Well, not perfect time, but you have to kind of weigh up the chances of you landing it. You originally throwing that E there, there's such a low chance that you'll ever land it that it's better to not use it at all. But as soon as Corky's used that W, then we can do it. Now, this is kind of a little bit of a skill check mechanic though, because obviously higher elo Corky would understand this concept as well, and he'd save his W for your E. But in these elos, they don't even think about things like that.
Yeah, I think, like, I was watching the other thing for support, and especially like when it says about changing your game style when you're getting ganked by the jungler and like letting them engage to do the like initiation on the fight.
Yeah.
That's sort of what I was waiting for in mid lane, for the Lee Sin to come and do the engage and jump onto the Corky, but he didn't. That's why I did that E.
Okay, so the additional context that you haven't received there from whichever video that was is if you also need to be able to pull a trigger, right? So, like Lee Sin is a champion. He has
all... capped video.
Okay, so the thing is, it's correct, but it's just not expanded enough. So that is a good thing to do, but the problem is Lee Sin has no CC. So he has no way of actually setting that kill up for you or for him. So because of that, because you're the only CC in that fight, you have to be the one to set the kill up, right? So if, say, for example, that was a Nivea, it's completely fine because they won't even know you're there. A Nivea can throw a Q out first, stun them there, and then you can get the E on them. But because it's a Lee Sin who has no CC, he can't engage that fight. And if he does, he's going to have to use a lot of his kind of mobility. Like, the only way Lee Sin can engage that fight is to ward hop into W. Well, W into E to slow, and then land the Q. But then you still have to land your CC while they can move, right? So it doesn't really work entirely. Now, obviously, don't get me wrong, I'm not flaming anybody at Skillcat. We do make some very good videos, but sometimes that additional expansion is what's really, really needed. Right, so this was where Kazakh's just leaped on us, right? So this, again, this was, do you remember the concept we spoke about earlier? It's the exact same here. So right here, we're stood way, way too far up front, which means we can get the wave, but he's going to do a lot to us. Also,
and he does have his force shot already.
Yeah, so that's another thing, which, again, it's kind of good that you're realizing these things now, especially considering it's still within the VOD. Obviously, you won't remember all of these things in your gameplay, but it's still good to start picking up on these things. Now, in this situation as well, we also know that the Kha'Zix is on dragon, or he's just killed the dragon, so our ultimate needs to be saved for this dive. Because it's like, okay, could potentially. And see, we get Yumi Q'd into the Jin W, and then, we take so much damage that we can't do anything. Where the wave was always coming into the tower anyway, right? So, again, we just have to be just a little bit more patient with what we're doing. Oh, wait, you didn't use it. This wasn't where you ulted the wave, my bad.
No, and I should have just saved my flash as well, because I knew I was dying.
Yeah.
There was no way I was going to get out of that alive.
Yeah. So, yeah, the flash was a little bit wasteful. But, see, look at all this. Now, I'm curious. We didn't actually see how much damage you were on beforehand. But we'll see Comet here. One Comet. Another Comet. And then you were just about to get another Comet. So in this fight, because we enraged our plants, we nearly hit the Aatrox with 3 Comets in a row. So this is why the rune is unbelievably broken on Zyra. It's honestly, I think it's hands down the best one. Now, you can go first strike, but I don't really like it as much. I think the additional damage that you get from Comet outweighs the additional gold that you get from first strike. Yeah. And to be fair, I did a lot of testing on First Strike on Zyra specifically for a skill cap video, and it just felt like you were missing something. Right, so again, now we're out of the laning phase. We're not going to focus too much on the minute details because obviously we've already got those kind of big things. Again, kind of skill usage here. Saying that, it's hard. It was a little bit choppy. So what you want to do as well is when you're walking into a location like this, hug the wall and go in like this, so that if this isn't warded, they won't actually spot you coming and they can't prepare. Because right here, see, they see you walking up way.
I saw them going for the bloody thing. That's why.
Yeah, and then obviously we missed that E, which was a little bit unfortunate. Because if we would have landed our E on the Corki here, we would have 100% killed him.
Do I use Ignite as well? No, I don't.
No. But I wouldn't have killed anyway. Now, again, we'll skip past these a little bit. Now, obviously, one of the main things is you don't really want to be face tanking a dragon. Just wait for somebody else to go on it and then come back.
Yeah, but given my poor team.
Yeah. We did get the dragon, though, which is good. And this fight did turn out well. So, one of the next big things that I do want to focus on from the game is your build. Now, when it comes to... Oh, yeah, he just one-pops you. Yeah, there's nothing. Like, the only thing I can say there is just don't be there in the first place. But, like, there's nothing you can outplay in that situation, I don't think. So, one of the main things with your build, you never really want to go into Morello's. I just think, even though they've got a Yumi, it's just really bad. Like, as Zyra, your goal is to do as much damage in as short amount of time as possible and then get away, you know? This is why the move speed... no. The Liandry's is great. Now, you've got 18 pen out your boots, and Liandry's is by far the best mythic on Zyra, no doubt. So, what else could you potentially go instead of Morello's, do you think?
Demonic.
No, Demonic's really not good, I don't think. You've already got enough burn because your plants repeatedly burn them.
Magic pen, so the Void Staff.
Void Staff's okay. It's not bad. But it's... In a game like this, they're all squishy, right? Like, they don't really have anybody to really stack MR. So what else do you think we could go that gives a massive amount of pen?
Oh, pen, I don't know. I was going to say Rabadon's, but that doesn't get pen.
I mean, Rabadon's great if you're ahead.
Yeah.
Now, this Yumi, I think, has Airy, does she? Let me just see. We're just waiting. I think
I
she
think
had
she
it.
does,
Yeah, I think
because
so.
when she hops onto them, they get the shield.
Yeah. So either way, so the thing I was going for is Shadow Flame. So Shadow Flame means that if they're below 1,000 HP, or they get shielded, then they will you'll get 20 magic pen against them. So
Forget about Shadow Flame, because these are new items, aren't
yeah,
they?
it's very new, so it's understandable. So again, with your 18 pen on your boots, you'll end up with 38 magic pen, which if they don't build any MR, that's true damage. So most champions only have roughly 32 to 33 magic resist base, and magic resist doesn't really have much growth in comparison to armor. So you have to actually be building magic pen. Magic resist, sorry. Now, even with, say, the Kazakhs, who has Hex Drinker at this point, which he will build into Mortimer Mortius, it still doesn't really matter because you'll still do pen through that entirely, right? You'll just penetrate his entire Hex. So, unless they're like. The only time you'd go void instead of is if they're like they have like a super tank. Say they have something like an Ornn or a Scion, or just somebody that's going to be building really, really tanky, then you can potentially go for it because it's going to give you a lot of returns. Whereas otherwise, you just want Shadow Flame and you'll just do so much with it, honestly. Once you start incorporating that into your build, you'll see the difference. It's unreal. Because it basically... Before, you had the dilemma on previous seasons where it was like you could either go Leandries and have that burn that's just way too good on Zyra, or you could go Ludens and have the penetration and do true damage. Now, you couldn't do both. Now, with the addition to Shadow Flame, because of Crown, like, it's not because of Ludens, it's because they added Crown in and they wanted people to use it. They had to give them an item that would get them to true damage. So, that's where Shadow Flame came from.
Ew.
But, yeah, at this point, honestly, the game, and this is disgusting, like, so we're actually not in the bush here. So we do want to be, and then see here. This more is unreal, but, if you would have been itemizing into Shadow Flame here, I think you could have potentially killed him.
I mean...
Shadow Flame is just difficult because it requires a needlessly large rod. So your back timers have to be pretty good. Or you have to snowball lane and then play off that, you know? So yeah, because at this point, you now your inventory is still basically Leandri's only, because Morello's there's a lot of gold value in. Yeah, so here it's a little bit confusing because of the hex gate, but just wait for him to select his position and then throw your E there.
I kind of forgot that you could select. I was just
Reposition,
expecting him.
Like I said,
Come
these
out.
things are things to do with the new season. Like they'll take a little bit of time to rewire your brain. Like even for me, it does. Like it wasn't an easy transition. But yeah, these stages of the game, it's very, very flip anyway. But see, even with your Morellos, like how much is healing. So it's like instead of going into
Shadow Flame.
yeah, just get more damage and hopefully one shot them and then play around that. So again, this game was a little bit awkward. Wasn't the best of games, but overall, I still think there was a lot of things to cover here. So mainly your positioning in the laning phase, making sure that we are harassing, but at the right times. Your kind of ability usage stuff. Yeah, sorry, go.
I also struggle when you have to come out and in of the brush.
Yeah, it can be awkward, but I mean, you did have moments where you were clicking pretty well. You're like click, 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 so that's good. So
Like go out of the brush, auto attack, run back into the brush, like that in the bot lane. No, because
yeah,
obviously you're meant to stop the minions from focusing you if you
yeah,
do it.
yeah. Which yeah, you can do that. Like you can also kind of keep that aggro. Say the pixel brushes here and here. If you walk in and out of them fast enough, the minions will target you, and then not fire, and then target you, because they have two phases. Number one is target, and number two is attack. Now the thing with that is, if say for example they never fully target, they can never attack. So they have to fully target you So look at you, stop in their attack range, then throw their attack. Otherwise, it won't do anything. And you can also take this further with kind of the casters. So I think it's 550 range. If you're out of 550 range of the melees, every single time the caster throws its little attack, what you can actually do is you can auto the enemy, and the casters will target you. So this will happen, but they can't attack because they have a cooldown on their autos. Again,
Ah,
it's slightly more advanced, but you know it's nice to know because sometimes you can maybe throw an auto in here and there. Again, don't worry about this for now. When we get to that kind of diamond level, these are the things that we'd discuss in more detail and stuff like that. But for now, we just want to focus on that positioning, the way we're using our abilities, and overall just kind of being a bit more patient with kind of the things that we're doing. Again, playing around mobility spells, waiting for waves to crash, stuff like that. I think if we focus on those things, you will climb anyway. So yeah, again, obviously, this game wasn't the best overall, but I still think there was a lot to take
because
away.
he was inting.
A little bit, yeah. The lead, we could have ended this game up very, very easily, but he decided to not want to play. But again, we have plenty of points that we can work on as discussed, so we'll just focus on that. So I will stop the recording there.